When you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on to the fullness of who you are, that's when you are living as you intended to be. And anything less than that is off the mark. And that's why anything less than that produces within you guidance that shows you it's off the mark. That's what negative emotion is. Negative emotion means you, in your humanness, in your physicalness, are focused upon something that has a vibrational frequency that is preventing your full blending with who you really are. That negative emotion is your indicator you're off. And if it feels off, it's off. Off from what? Off from what others think? No. Off from what you thought before you were born? No. Off from what God or some other creator wants from you? No. Off from who you have become. Off from the fullness that you are. Off from your most expanded beingness. Off from the source energy that flowed into you and while in you became something more. In other words, what we're just saying to you. You got to keep up with you if you are to feel positive emotion, which means you're keeping up with you. When you feel frisky, you're aligned. When you feel love, you're in alignment. When you are appreciating, you're in alignment. In your joy, you're in alignment. In your hope, you're almost aligned, but not quite. In your belief, you're aligned. In your anger, not even close. In your despair, further still. In fact, the furthest that you can get is despair and depression, which is what powerlessness really feels like. Alignment feels like empowerment, full of the power and the energy that creates worlds, full of who you really are. So, we've been spending time with you. We've been flowing through Esther for a number of years, and in this format we have offered many different explanations in an attempt to help you to understand more fully who you are, but most important, how you fit into the big picture. And we want you to understand that you don't just fit into the big picture, you are the big picture. You are an eternally expanding being. You can't stop that. You can't even slow it down. But what you can do, and many of you do in your physical form, is that your contrast causes you to expand, but you don't keep up with your expansion. So the longer you live, the more you expand. The longer you live, the more you expand. The more you hold fast to beliefs and ideas that don't let you take your expansion. So the greater discord happens between who you are and who you are. Your babies coming in, they're aligned. The more they hang around with you, the less aligned they are. Because you find so much to fuss and worry about in your exploration of contrast. Now, that in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's perfectly wonderful to look around your world and acknowledge the parts of it that you do not want. But when you keep the parts that you do not want active within you, you prevent yourself from being a vibrational match to the parts you do want, you see. And we just want you to understand that you have the ability to do a much better job of tuning yourself than you usually do, tuning yourself to the furthest expansion of who you are. Jerry and Esther have been making their way from California here for the last several days. And in the process, they've been thinking about ways that it could be better. And it's really fun to watch them constantly trying to figure out how this could be a little better and how this could be a little better. And so this morning, they were chatting about some new ideas they have about making their transfer from place to place the best that they can possibly think of. And as they are conjuring these new ideas and contemplating and chewing around them, Esther found herself pointing out something that happened a long time ago in a hotel parking lot on the other side of this continent. And Esther said, that was the day with that drive shaft disconnect that I really hurt my knee. And Jerry said, I remember that. And Esther said, maybe we shouldn't dig up bad things that we didn't like and activate them again now. And yet, there is this walk down memory lane. Sometimes in the process of defining what you want, you're pointing out some of what you didn't want. And we say, that's part of the deciphering process, isn't it? You don't really know clearly what you do want until you've lived a little bit of what you don't want. It's all part of the focusing process. But it's so interesting how in that focusing process, you come to new conclusions that work better for you. But then it seems, and this is the thing that trips you up more than all other things put together, it seems, you defend your new choice by reminding yourself how bad it was before, not realizing that every time you return to that, You reactivate the vibration of that, which keeps you from clearly and purely being a match to who you now are and what you really want. That's why family reunions feel so awful. You go back to that place where you used to live, and back to that place where you used to vibrate differently, and you talk to those people who remember you as you were then, even though you are in a whole different vibrational place. And as you go there and focus and remember and look through family albums and watch those old videos and talk over old times, you activate who you were that does not jive with who you are. And when you do that, you feel less good the longer you do it. You say, oh, it's nostalgia. And we say, oh, it's disconnection from who you really are. So what's happening to you all day, every day, whether you know it or not, you are so magnificent in your physical bodies, you have forgotten you are vibrational beings first and foremost, is that all day, every day, you are becoming more. There is a vibrational version of you that has become and is becoming, that is the main event of you. When we say you are the creator of your experience, we're not kidding you even a little bit. You are not just the creator of your experience. You are the creator of you. You are the creator of the vibrational version of you who exists in a vibrational reality. Now, many of you would say, oh, this vibrational version, I don't know if I want to talk about the vibrational version. I'd rather talk about the reality that I see around me. And we say, that would be fine if you, the larger part of you, were not standing over here in this vortex of creation as the vibrational version of all that you have become. But you have. You have become a vibrational version of something more than you know here in your physical reality, because the manifestation is slow to catch up with the vibrational version. So if you spend your time focusing upon the reality, looking at the money that is now in your checkbook, looking at the people who are now in your life, looking at the person who is now not in your bed or that you would like to be in your bed, as you are looking at what is, as you are facing the reality of what is, you are in most cases depriving yourself of vibrational alignment with this vibrational version, which is where the larger part of you stands. And so when you do that, you deprive yourself of the alignment with who you really are. We're not just talking about the stuff that you slow down. We're not just talking about the money that you slow down, even though you're slowing it down. We're not just talking about the empires that you are putting on hold, even though you're putting empires on hold. We're not just talking about the creative things like books and paintings and sculptures and music that are ready for you to harvest, even though you are putting them on hold. We're not just talking about those things and those experiences that you are depriving yourself of. We're talking about you depriving yourself of, in this red hot moment, the fullness of who you are, the clarity, the stamina, the exhilaration, the flexibility, the dexterity, the knowledge, the knowing of who you are, the love of who you are, the life of who you are. You see, you can't have it both ways. You can't look where you've been and at who you are at the same time. Now, here's the thing we really, really want you to hear. And if you can get this, you'll have it all. The vortex of creation, where the vibrational version of you is present tense, as far as the creator within you and as far as we are concerned. When you ask for it, it's present tense. But you, bless your hearts, you've gotten so good at exploring the manifestation that you don't want to call it present tense until it's in your driveway. You don't want to call it present tense until others can see it. And we say, oh, it's so slow to have to wait for everybody to be able to see it. It's easy to tune in to stuff that's manifested. So what preachers and teachers have been saying to you for a long time about faith really applies here. Because what faith is a vibrational attitude. What faith is an awareness, a vibrational focus, an attention to what's in this vortex of creation. And if you can focus upon what you've asked for and no longer beat the drum of why you ask for it, I want this magnificent thing because it's so awful not to have it. And because it's so hard over here without it. And because I deserve it, I really deserve it, even though I don't have it, I deserve it. And we say all of that drum beating from the perspective of what is not yet manifested holds you in a holding pattern that will not let it manifest. You have to let go of the absence of what you want before the presence of it can feel into your experience, you see. We want you to feel the reality of this vortex of creation. This is vibrational reality. We're not making this stuff up. Everything that you see that is manifested was first vibrational reality. And once it's been vibrational reality, everything that you see is first a thought upon longer until it takes form. Everything that you see that is manifested was first vibration. And the gap, the amount of time that it takes from the offering of the idea and flowing it vibrationally into your vortex and the full-fledged manifestation of it is as short as no time when you are a vibrational match to what you're asking for. The amount of time it takes for you to manifest things wanted is the amount of time it takes for you to get in the vortex and consistently stay there. So when we say to you, which will be the answer to every question that you ask today, it would be very boring by the end of the day. Go to the vortex, go to the vortex. And so some will say, well, what does that mean? And we say, it means stop doing whatever you're doing that's keeping you out of the vortex. What do I have to do to get in the vortex? Nothing. Well, then how come I'm not in there? Because you're doing stuff that holds you out. Okay, so what do I have to do to get in? Nothing. Well, then how come I'm not in there? Because you're doing stuff that keeps you out. Abraham, are you deaf? Can't you hear what I'm asking? I'm not in the vortex. How do I get in? What do I have to do? Nothing. But you have to stop doing that thing that's holding you out. And your question is fair, because we've never seen anyone who could just stop thinking that thought. Because when you say, I'm not going to think that thought anymore, you're thinking that thought you're not going to think. I'm not going to do that anymore. Have you ever done that? I'm going to quit smoking. Sure you are. I'm not ever going to eat that again after this one. So what you have to do is start doing things that allow you vibrational proximity to the vortex. This vortex that spins in a place of pure positive energy, what that means is no resistant thought. In other words, when you say, I really, really want, what do you want? Call something out. I really, really want $100,000. I really, really want $100,000. That, if you could leave it right there, is a pure thought. But if your sentiment is, I really, really want the $100,000 that I don't have, not a pure thought. When you say, I want the money because I need it, not pure. I want the money because it is exhilarating and because it gives me freedom and because I can do this and this and this. When you talk about what you want and why you want it, it is usually a pure thought. But when you talk about what you want and where it will come from and when it will come and who will bring it and how you will get it. In other words, there's a lot of things you do in your action-oriented exposure to life that hold you in vibrational patterns of disallowance. So we call those vibrational patterns of disallowance resistance to the natural flow. And whenever you got resistance going on, it's indicated to you by your emotions of resistance. And emotions of resistance are always negative emotion. Emotions of resistance don't feel good, and emotions of allowance feel better and better and better. So if you have an emotion of resistance, so you're angry or frustrated or fitful or worried, when you feel worried, that means you've got this residual of resistance going on that is keeping you out of the vortex. And so you walk around not in the vortex, so comfortable with not being in the vortex that you don't even know what you're missing. But when you take the time to focus yourself into the vortex deliberately, into the vortex where your clarity is and where your exhilaration is, where your perfect rendezvous in every moment with everything that you want, where the universe is able to give you in moment after moment so much full life experience that you wonder why you would ever step out of the vortex. Once you consciously and deliberately spend more of your life inside this vibrational state of being that we are calling the vortex, where your own vibrational point of attraction is so purified by your own deliberate thought focus that you are not setting up your own resistance to your own well-being, then you begin to remember why you were born and what this physical experience was supposed to be about, what you had in mind.